Welcome to the Back Catalogue Spook Past.
Sorry.
Spookcast.
Bro, you got too excited already.
Too excited. Let me do that again.
All right, do it
Welcome to the Back Catalogue Spookcast. This is the Spookcast where we, and by we I mean me, App, and my co-host / co-founder Vincent. We dive into the stream service. We tell you, the listener and the viewer, what is spooky and what is not.
Bro, that intro is top tier.
Vincent, we're still in October, bro.
Spooktober.
Spookfest. This is the Back Catalogue Spookfest. Hey, Vincent, we are here and we are doing 2022's very own Werewolf by Night.
We're going to stop
For the
this.
Back Catalogue Spookfest.
We're going to stop this.
I don't even know if I've got the right headphones on here. Does this sound weird to you?
No, you probably don't have the same.
I might not have the right headphones.
Do your headphones have number 1 on it?
They could. I can't see it because I got them
Why don't you try those ones?
Because we're in the show.
Just
Vincent,
change
Vincent, this is
All right,
Werewolf by Night.
hold on.
This is Werewolf
Hold
by
on.
Night.
Welcome. What is?
You can't put this in.
I can't see nothing. Yeah, this is going in, bro. It's all going in.
Bro. Okay, well, fantastic. Vincent,
Oh, it's what it is.
Werewolf by Night. We're doing 2022's very own Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
And as you can see, we're excited
Yeah.
because it's the Back Catalogue Spookcast.
Spookcast of the week.
It's got a 7.5 out of 10 on the IMDb. It's got the 92% on the Rotten Tomatoes.
Sorry, 0.75.
7.5.
Oh, okay.
On a dark and somber night, a secret cabal of monster hunters emerge from the shadows and gather at the Bloodstone Temple following the death of their leader. Shenanigans.
I've never heard cabal being used in a sentence before.
Is it cabal?
I don't know. I don't know what that word is.
C-A-B-A-L.
Cabal.
C-A-B-A-L.
Sable? Is it a silent?
Is that like is the C silent? It's just Abel?
Dude, I think it's Cecil. Like Cecil.
Dude, R.I.P. Cecil.
Bro,
We've talked about Cecil on the show.
because everyone else talked about Harambe,
But people forgot about Cecil.
what about say? A secret political clique or faction.
Yeah, but
Cabal.
press the button.
Cabal.
Cabal.
Cabal. That's what you said.
I said cable first.
Cable.
Cabal.
You thought
No, maybe
you said,
I did say
you
cabal.
said cable.
Shout out cables. And that's just the internet, you know? But hey, Vincent, we are here. We're going to talk about Werewolf by Night. And really, this is a Marvel special. So
It is not special.
it's a Marvel special. It went for about 58 minutes. So we're just going to get into the hits and the misses. Now, should I look at some questions on Google?
Look at these questions while I tell the listeners and the viewers how garbage this thing was.
Yeah.
This was the biggest piece of trash I've watched all year.
We're right into it, huh?
Bro, we're right into it. We're not joking around. This is a 5-minute podcast.
Look, Vincent, this is where we agree.
Tell me there are barely any redeeming factors of this film. It's 50 minutes, so it's, they could have squeezed out another 20 and called it a movie.
I mean, look, this is the Back Catalogue Spookcast, and this is the Spookcast where but this wasn't the movie that we should have watched.
No. This is terrible.
So here's the thing. I just want to explain to the people who haven't watched it, that's the people at home. Because you've watched it, I've watched it. We're not the people at home right now.
We're not at home.
We're at someone's home.
We are at someone's home. Yeah. It's not either of our homes.
It's not our homes. But the film is meant to be a homage to the 1930s, like Universal monster movies, like the classic monster movies.
I thought that was the case because you got a lot of the style of old school monster movie.
So you know how I've said this on the podcast I've said that there's certain movies that you can put on in the background of a party and just leave it on, and that's just going to add to the atmosphere, right? The 1930s monster movies were that's where that idea of mine came from.
That's absolutely correct, because you can just have them on and they'll be doing creepy things and it's dark and people creeping around, and then you just have a shot of like lightning and some head will be screaming like this.
Absolutely, and it's atmospheric.
And it's atmospheric, but then you have that, and people in the ambient environment are looking at it. They're like, "Oh, what's going on here? That's wild."
And like for people like us, like I enjoy parties more than you do. But if they had something like that going on in the background, that's something that we can focus on and we'll enjoy the party even more.
That's right. If there's a TV on in a room and I'm in a room with other people, I'm just watching that TV.
And that's because
Like regardless of what's on it. It's just because that's just where my eyes go, you know? I don't know if it's because of a reason.
I'll tell you the reason, man. There was a movie that came out in maybe 2007, anywhere between 2007 to 2013, starring Samuel L. Jackson and John Cusack. And the movie was about like there's these new phones that got released and everyone was addicted to the phones. But whoever got the phones like turned into zombies because that's what it is, right? Like we're living in a society in which we're among zombies.
Yeah, the person directing that was like, man, it's going to be like metaphorical, and it's going to really strike a nerve in the viewer, and they're going to be like, man, I'm a zombie. And dude's just like hitting them over the head with it, like, look at this. This is your life.
The curtains that I'm shoving down your throat are blue for your sadness and your family's sadness. But here's the thing about the 1930s movies that I wanted to get into. So this movie is meant to pay homage to that. The one unfortunate thing that happens in this Werewolf by Night movie is that they've made things black and white for the atmosphere, right? They've wanted to pay that homage. They wanted to create the atmosphere. And when they did that, they didn't realize that they're playing on 2022's very own cameras and systems. So even though it was black and white, it wasn't gritty.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was too clean.
It's not like there aren't ways to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
like there are ways. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why they. Yeah, I mean, obviously they probably thought. Obviously, bro. I know what Kevin's thinking. He was thinking, bro, this is the biggest piece of trash. But like my son said, it was killer. So it's going up there.
Yeah, and look, look. Me and you are big fans of the Batman. Right?
Yeah,
and the person who did the soundtrack for the Batman is Michael Giacchino, I think his name is. I think that's how you pronounce it. See, I'm not of his lineage, so I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. But he directed this film. So I thought maybe like there's some connections here. He did the music as well, which I think the music was fairly good in this movie. But when you see Michael Giacchino's very own, you know, he's doing Batmans, he's doing Werewolf by Nights, you're thinking you're going to be coming into something top tier.
Well, just because Mans can do a soundtrack doesn't mean Mans can do a movie.
But what Mans can do is create an atmosphere. And what he didn't do in this movie
was create an atmosphere.
And I don't know if this was a function of the fact that in the 1930s in those original horror movies, they did with what they had, right? So they had certain things and they worked with it. They had certain sets and they worked with them. But the thing is about those sets, even though they might have been minimal sets, they did things to them to make them look as real as possible. Like if you might not be in Dracula's castle, but we're going to make it look like you're in Dracula's castle. Whereas this Werewolf by Night, for about 20 minutes of this movie, they were in just a thing that looked like cinder blocks placed on top of cinder blocks.
With some foliage.
With some foliage that did not look real, right? They unfortunately missed out on, I don't know whether they were trying to be exactly like the 1930s movies, but also trying to make it really modern. And then sometimes they went back to that and then went back. They were stuck between two worlds, right? Is what I felt in this movie. I will say there were some cool elements that I'm going to add in before we continue to, you say some more bad bits. So some of my favorite shots of this movie, okay? So the premise is that there's this monster and all these killers have come to hunt this one monster.
To get the Bloodstone, which is, you know, like it's real good.
Well, it allows you to be like, you're the king of the monster hunters, essentially.
Yeah.
And the monster is in this area that they've created, this like maze.
It's like the labyrinth, the Minotaur.
Yes.
You know that because that's Greek things.
That's Greek things. Minotaur, that's Greek things.
Yeah.
And like if you go over there, you find him, you say, hey man, you're Greek things. And
bro, the exit's right here. And he's like, I still can't find it.
Because he wants to leave Greece.
He wants to get the hell out of there.
I mean, unless it's winter, but who wants to leave Greece in summer? And this looked like probably a mid-autumn film. But the creature that they're chasing is Man-Thing. We'll get into that a little bit later because I want to talk about Man-Thing specifically.
Yeah, I was thinking it was Swamp Thing, but then I thought that's not a...
I think Swamp Thing is DC.
That's DC, that's right, because he's Batman's mate.
DCDs is what I think it is.
DCDs?
Yeah. But
like D's nuts?
Like D, CD's nuts. Like the person's name is D. So, welcome.
That's what I was about to do.
So here's the thing. Vincent and I we're excited. It's midweek. We're just having fun.
Yeah, it's too bright in here.
It's too bright in here, but it's just because, it's our futures. But as they look over this labyrinth, it's this shot, and the camera sort of pans up, and you can tell that it's like a handcrafted labyrinth for this one shot, which I really thought was great. And it's really cool because you see the whole labyrinth, and it looks fairly like, well, as I said, it looks handmade, but there's not a lot of cool things, I guess, in it until you look towards like the back right corner and you see the shadow of the man thing like moving. I thought that was great, right? Yeah. I thought that the shot in which the werewolf, and in this case it's the werewolf by night because it's nighttime at the time, he's transforming, and in the background you see there's like a shot where you're looking at one of the actresses in this movie and there's light shining onto the thing and you see the shadows of the man as he's transforming.
Yeah.
And then you finally see a glimpse of him standing up fully as the werewolf and the camera zooming into him as he's breathing heavily, he's moving up and down. I thought these were all great shots.
Yeah, and then and you look at that, like, oh, that was really cool. And then you look at the werewolf and he just looks like me, who has that, if I didn't trim my beard for a few weeks.
But see, I think that's fine until you then show me Man-Thing.
That's right. That's right. If everything has got that aesthetic of it's just a man in a suit, like we just got a bunch of hair and we just glued it on this man. Mm-hmm. But then you've got, Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing's brother, Man-Thing, he's cremating people.
And he's looking CGI for the most time.
Yeah. I mean, he looked good. I thought he's a cool looking figure. Mm. But yeah, compared to when I saw that, man's going to turn into a werewolf.
Yeah.
Because he said, I'm going to turn into a werewolf. Let me sniff all your BOs and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
It looked terrible because I was expecting something cool.
Well, I see. This is the reason that I enjoy it because of what it was trying to pay homage to, and it was trying to pay homage to those original times in which you had.
I was very confused in this movie because I feel like Michael
Giacchino's young Kino,
if you will. Yeah. He didn't know what he was going for. Because to me, this movie feels like it was a horror movie that was aimed at kind of almost teenagers that like Marvel movies, or it just felt very off. It felt like they had a few different ways and they were just like, all right, well, let's just go this way for 15 minutes and this way another 15 minutes and then this, and they're just...
And that's a good point that Vincent, you raised good points today, and especially on the day of our Lord, the 11th of October, and that's October's very own. But you raised good points in the fact that you said this movie almost feels like it is 15-minute blocks. It doesn't feel, even though it is one interconnected movie, when I look back on it, it feels like this was 15 minutes doing this bit, then there was 15 minutes doing that bit, and then it finished, right? It just felt like every bit was compartmentalized into a different story and into a different atmosphere as well.
Yeah, and there were parts of this movie that I liked. I liked the start. It was very, very spooky. You didn't know what was happening, but there was no... This wasn't a spook fest, and I wanted a spook fest.
Yeah.
But I think what they were going for was paying homage to the spook fest of yore.
Oh, that's of yore, yeah.
Of yore, if you will.
Like of my life, because I've watched those.
That's right, because you've watched those. I haven't watched those.
Dude, I got them all on Blu-ray, so you're coming over this weekend, we could watch them.
Bro, we could watch them all.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, they were doing that, and then it just fell apart. And then you find out the werewolf, Man-Thing comes and grabs the man's. What was his name? Jack.
Yeah, the werewolf by night man's.
The werewolf by night,
but this was him by day.
Yeah, so Jack by day.
Yeah.
And Man-Thing grabs him and is like, oh, bro, you thought I wasn't coming for you. Let's get you out of here. Hey, your name's Ted. Like, isn't that funny? Hey, kid's in the front row. His name's Ted, but look at him.
It looks like a bloody Build-A-Bear, am I right? Because this is the issue. This is the issue. What we're facing here. Marvel are trying to step into different lanes here.
Why do they keep trying to make things comedic?
Well, because what else are they going to do? This is meant to be for people, for all people.
It's meant to be for people.
So here's the thing.
I want a movie for dogs.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want to drop my pet off when I'm going overseas. I want to drop them off at the animal hotel, at the pet hotel, and I want them to be watching movies made for them.
Well, did you know that pet hotel near the airport?
Yeah.
That's got movies for the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like be watching tennis and stuff. They're like, bro, this is, oh my God. Did you get that final act? That was crazy, man.
Tennis.
Yeah, it's like tennis balls getting hit over a net and they're like, bro. I know.
I can just imagine about 40 dogs in a room and there's a projector and they're all just, their heads are going in sync from left to right.
And look, the biggest qualm with this movie is that they try to go into a different lane, but then they couldn't get themselves completely in it. They didn't feel comfortable enough to make that giant leap. And I don't actually, sorry, let me take that back. They didn't feel comfortable enough to take a leap out of something that was different.
They cannot step out of their lane. Well, they find it very difficult to step out of their lane. They're like them heads on Portrush Road where it says merge, and they're thinking like, I'm just driving. And they're driving next to another car, and the other car's in front of them, but they're staying beside them.
Maybe if I don't look at them,
there's now 2 lanes, but they've made a third one in the middle.
Yeah. And see, this is where I think things like Blade that we're getting into in the future, right? Remember we had this conversation about what Blade's going to be like? And we were worried that Blade's going to come in and he's going to be like, I need my suit. And he's going to go get a suit and it's going to be like a superhero movie. Whereas when we looked at the old Blade, that's very different and a very different, not only aesthetic, but also just feeling to the other Marvel movies that were out at that time, right? I feel that they have gone too far with their strategies and their thing, their Marvel thing, their MCU thing, that they can't even step out of it.
Yeah, do you think they've really boxed themselves into this one aesthetic, one style? Because, I mean, look, we've had a lot of recent Marvel movies. We haven't really liked a lot of them. I mean, I like them mostly just because I like most of anything.
Yeah.
But the only one I think that stands out is Doctor Strange.
Absolutely.
Because it was so wild and the rest of them, I mean, Spider-Man, you know, he was home, but now he's not home, and now there's other heads home. Like, that was trash.
That was and here's
but
the thing.
When I was watching that, I was like, I wish I could just go home.
Yeah. And we were home because
home.
we bought it on Amazon Prime.
That's right.
But here's the thing about that movie. How many heads talk about it to this day?
None. I mean, I don't talk to any heads, so I don't, you know.
I mean, we're the only heads we talk to, so.
That's right. So if you don't talk about it and I don't talk about it, then no one talks about it.
But this is also the podcast where we.
It's not the podcast where like other heads.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have this, you know, Thor: Love and Thunder. As much as I enjoy that movie, it's a movie that I'm sure I'll watch again in the future. But it's still exactly like all the other ones to a degree.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you know, Blade was, when was that? 2000, 1999?
Around that time, yeah.
Around that time. I wonder if it's just a kind of the style of that era. And so now we've got the style of the Marvel movies, and that's kind of the style that
is
is almost
era.
Yeah, I don't know.
But in
saying that, there are
issues,
movies
right?
that break that mold, like the Batman,
and this is where you have issues. But I also think that this is why we had, and I'm going to say this thing, and you're going to laugh because it's going to be about 30 years of film. But we had the best era of superhero films was between Spider-Man 1, right? Maybe even further back because I think Blade came out before that. But from that era all the way up until Endgame, right? I think that's the greatest era that we'll ever get of superhero movies.
Was that 20 years?
20 years.
Roughly.
Because 10 years for the MCU up until that point, and then let's say another 10 years before that, right? And the reason that I think this is the best era of it was obviously the Infinity Saga is fantastic.
Yeah.
And the way that they interweaved that story and brought it all together was great. But even at that point, Marvel movies were quite different. You had the Thor movie, which was far more serious and somber than maybe an Iron Man movie was.
Yeah, and you just had like wild-looking eyebrows.
And you had wild-looking eyebrows.
You just don't get that in Iron Man.
And also beards, right?
And also beards.
Then you go back even further to the Spider-Man movies. Sam Raimi was doing his own thing. The heads that made Fantastic Four, they're doing their own thing. The X-Men people, they were doing their own thing. But even though they were so different, they were still really, really enjoyable superhero movies.
Except for Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, see, this is where you lose me.
Bro, I'm telling you.
It's a good movie.
Telling you, bro. I watched it and I was watching it and I thought, man, this is
You're going to tell me it's worse. You're going to tell me it's anywhere close to Werewolf by Night.
Oh, Werewolf by Night is like below moon spinners at this point. Bro, this movie was trash because it tried to be. This is about the biggest issue with it. It tried to be, oh, this is serious. Yeah. Oh, I'm this stepmother, and bro, you're the daughter, and you suck because you left. And this is spooky, like, oh, the bloodstone. Ooh, like, open it up. Ooh, look at this thing. And then you're cracking jokes. There's just, oh, this man's name's Ted. Just call him by his name. His name's Ted. All right, we'll just chop this guy's head off right now.
Yeah. There's dudes getting arms cut off. There's blood splattering.
Like, it's so confusing as to what this movie is, and it just sucks.
Like, they're in a tomb for about 15 minutes, then they remember there's a key.
Yeah, they're in a tomb. Oh, man, nah, families, bro, families. It's just, you can never run from them. And oh, my family, oh, she had a key in here. All right, kill her. Let's get out of here. It feels like a kid's movie.
Like me, a Werewolf by Night, could not get out of this thing.
That's right. Far out. Even Jack by Day could have got out of that.
Jack by Day.
Jack by Day, Werewolf by Night.
But that's Jack of all, master of none. That's just the reality
Jack
of
it. All, master of none.
So, Vincent, here's what I'm going to say to you. Out of all the things that were coming up recently, that were coming up at the moment for the Marvel slate, this was what I was most excited for.
Really? I didn't even know this was coming out until you told me
because of the horror elements.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that I'm thinking, hey, look, you have this movie. It's a Marvel special. You don't need to make it anywhere directly related or even, not even directly, indirectly related to the MCU.
Mm.
There can be absolutely zero repercussions. So you can go buck wild. And by buck wild, I mean you could have like actual superheroes come into it and they just getting sliced up, right? You can have all sorts of crazy stuff in there. And what they did was they made a movie in which I think they came in, they wrote up a movie, they filmed it, and then they're like, bro, this is trash. We're going to cut this down to 58 minutes so no one complains. And to just solidify that they didn't know what they were doing, the final shot of this movie, one of the characters gets the bloodstone at the end of the thing. And then it goes, because of the bloodstone, everything lights up. So everything that was once black and white becomes color. And the final shot is Werewolf by Day or Werewolf by Night or Jack by Night, whatever his name is.
Jack by Day now.
Yeah.
Because it's the morning.
Sorry, it's Jack by Day. And Man-Thing sitting at just on some grass and they're drinking tea.
See, I thought that was hilarious.
And they're just chatting.
I enjoyed that in isolation.
Exactly.
Welcome.
This, in regards to we've got different ratings here this month because the Back Catalogue Spookcast where we rate things differently. I'm gonna have to give this like a 3.
Bro, this is a 2.5 tops. This is, I was just thinking.
But like the 3 has like blood coming off of it because it's the Spookcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like the top of it's chopped off a bit.
It's like a bite taken out of it.
It's got a bite taken out of it. That's right. This movie, man, they could have done it really well because they had all these different weird characters going into this labyrinth, and there's a monster chasing them. But there was only maybe 10 minutes of that, them creeping around. Oh, what's behind this corner? But then it just turned into we're all fighting now.
How cool would it be if they got thrown into a labyrinth, right, full of classic monsters from the MCU? Like ones that we don't know about, but people from the comics know about, right? And those guys have to team up to actually beat them. And at the end, there's this bloodstone thing, right? And as they're going, it's suspenseful. Around every corner, there's danger.
That's the
there's
thing.
Blood.
Old
there's
school
guts.
horror movies, the ones that I've seen, which is probably, I actually can't remember any of them, but there's a lot of suspense. And there was some of that in this. There was some of that suspense, and then at a point, it was just, there's no more suspense. That's it. Everything's just, you're getting your hands chopped off. You're getting your feet chopped off. I don't know who got their feet chopped off, but things were just happening, and then it just turned into action. All right, now we got to blow up this wall and get this guy out of here. Even that part.
Why did that take 17 minutes?
Why was that it had to be so comedic?
But the 17 has blood coming out of it. It's got a bite taken off the top.
He goes, oh, how do I use this bomb thing? Oh, you just put it there, you just throw it and it sticks. And he throws it and it doesn't stick. And he's like, he's playing like hot potato with his bomb. What's that?
I think they were trying to pad this thing. Maybe like for tax purposes, it had to be 58 minutes. I think to be a feature film, it might have to be Actually, it might not even be a feature film, actually, because
Might
this
have
is,
to be 58 minutes
this is a TV series.
Nah, man,
A TV special.
This is top tier trash. This is top tier trash.
Vincent, that's top tier trash. But let me tell you what's not top tier trash. The October special episode of the Back Catalogue After Dark. And After Dark's got by.
Oh, as in this one that we're going to do after.
We're going to do after this.
Yeah, what are we going to talk about?
Oh, it's going to be Spookfest, man.
It's going to be Spookfest.
It's going to be talking about AI. It's going to be talking about other spooky things.
That's scary.
That's scary,
That's
right?
scary. That's for real scary.
But also, that's where you can find us for more materials.
Yeah.
More content.
And the link's in the description if you want. This is a short one because, I mean, I don't really want to talk about Werewolf by Night for much longer. That's okay.
Welcome!
Oh, man, Kevin, you done messed up. Talk soon.
Talk soon.